Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Olchem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzveitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Welcome, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. By now, you should know the two ways you can tune in with us, either on Zoom or on YouTube, and whichever way you choose to join us, we are grateful to have you with us this evening. Please turn with us to our shul sheets as we sing together Ya Ribon, as we celebrate how wonderful the world around us is. Ya Ribon, Ya Ribon Olam, Le'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya. Ya Ribon, Ya Ribon Olam, Le'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya. Ya Ribon Olam ve'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya. Ovad Gevutek V'Timchaya, Shafak Adama Le'Chavaya. Ya Ribon Olam ve'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya. Ovad Gevutek V'Timchaya, Shafak Adama Le'Chavaya. Ya Ribon, Ya Ribon Olam, Le'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya. Ya Ribon, Ya Ribon Olam, ve'amaya, Antu Malka, Melech Machaya.
So we are coming towards the end of this extraordinarily hot day, a day in which it feels like we could even melt at the extraordinary heat around us. So we're going to turn to our shul sheets and to Psalm 97, where we're going to read of God's power over the world and the awesomeness of the world around us that we appreciate on a day like today. The eternal rules, let the earth be glad, let the many isles rejoice. Clouds and darkness surround God, but righteousness and justice are the foundations of God's throne. Fire strides before God, blazing round all foes. God's lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. Mountains melt like wax before the Creator, before the sovereign of all the earth. The heavens declare God's righteousness. All peoples see God's glory.
Shama Avatisma, Shama Avatisma, Zion, Zion. Shama Avatisma, Shama Avatisma, Zion, Zion. V'tagelna b'not Yehuda. V'tagelna b'not Yehuda. Shama Avatisma, Shama Avatisma, Zion, Zion. Shama Avatisma, Zion, Zion. V'tagelna b'not Yehuda. V'tagelna b'not Yehuda. Boichala, boichala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boichala, boichala, boichala. Boichala, boichala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boichala, boichala, boichala. Lecha dodi, likakala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likakala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boichala, boichala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boichala, boichala, boichala. Boichala, boichala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boichala, boichala, boichala. Lecha dodi, likakala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likakala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Now's the time, if you have Shabbat candles prepared, to please join me as we light our Shabbat candles together as a community. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We turn to page 121 to welcome the Shabbat bride. As we do so, as we spoke about last Friday night, we resolve to change our mindset, to come to this Shabbat and to all of the Shabbatot between now and the High Holidays, seeking comfort and joy in Shabbat together. We're on page 121.
Lecha dodi, likakala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Shabbat, Shabbat, lechu v'lecha, ki hi b'kol ha'baracha, merosh mikedem besucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, ki b'horeb, kumi uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai, alayik mikra, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Ohi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha u'b'tola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. As we depart from our work week and arrive at Shabbat, we recognize that some of us arrive on this Shabbat in a place of bereavement and mourning. To them, we offer the traditional words, Hamakom yenachem etchem, b'toch sha'ar ha'avelim. May the Eternal One comfort you together with all those who mourn.
On page 124, Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat.
Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodod l'Adonai. Mizmor shir leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodod l'Adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, uzamer l'shimcha elyon, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש בער לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. בפרוח רשעים כמו עשב, ויציצו כל פועלי אבן, להישם דם עדי עד. ואתה מרום לעולם אדוני. כי הנה אויביך אדוני, כי הנה אויביך יאבדו, ייפרדו כל פועלי אבן. ותביט עיני בשורי בקמים עלי, מרעים תשמענה אוזני. צדיק התמה יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בסבב, דשנים רעננים יהיו.
27. We invite those who wish at home to rise with us for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו.
Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה מצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח ונעלוז בדברי תורתך, ומצוותיך וחוקותיך לעולם ועד.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב את עמו ישראל.
Avta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol ma'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shnantam levanecha v'ribata bam, v'shiftecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'aderech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, v'kshatam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot beinenecha, uv'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha. And we'll take a moment to read the second paragraph of Shema for ourselves, coming together on page 134. Vayom Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael v'amata alehem, v'asu lahem tzitzit, al kanfei bigdeihem ledorotam, v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf v'tziel techelet, v'haya lachem לתציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי דבריכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. On page 135. All this is true and firmly held by us, that you are our living God and no other exists, and that we are Israel, your people. You perform great deeds beyond research, too wonderful to tell. Your children saw your power, praised and thanked your name, and willingly accepted your rule over them.
Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael, lecha anu shira, besimcha rabah, ve'amru chulam. Yaakov, ugelo miad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Page 140 and 141, we rise together for the Amidah. Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Motenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, פוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי ביתי מטרה והושיע, מוריד פתיו.
Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha B'Geburot, Umida Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman atal hachayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hameitim. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'groshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
And we're going to continue with the Amidah for ourselves. When we come back together, it will be for our prayer for healing and the words that you'll find on your supplement sheet.
We now turn our prayers towards those in our community who are in need of healing, either of body or spirit, this evening.
shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So it's with great pleasure that we're going to hand over to student Rabbi Nicola Feuchtwan, who is going to give our Devar Torah this evening live from her study at home.
Good evening. There is a children's action song that I expect most of you have heard. It starts something like this. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, head, shoulders, knees and toes, and so on. A television company once came to film at the day nursery in my office building, and that song was the key element. First, they had to teach it to the children, and then they had to get them to perform it for the camera. I watched the fun from my window, although I must admit that by the 10th repetition, I had had enough, and by the 50th, I felt like throwing something at them. But the children loved it and didn't seem bored. The names of parts of our bodies are among the first words we learn in any language, and they are endlessly fascinating to toddlers. They're probably also the first words we learn in any other language, and I wouldn't mind betting that if you have a vocabulary of just a few dozen words in any language, some of them will be for body parts. Now, in Hebrew, the most basic words can come to have extended and even abstract meanings. And this is particularly true of body language. Let me remind you of a few that you've definitely heard. So Rosh, head, as in English, can also mean leader, and hence beginning, as in Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Hashanah. You may not recognize the word berech, which means knee, but you certainly know some of the words that use the same root. Baruch, Hamavorach, Beracha, and so on. All of them associated perhaps with the idea of being on our knees, in awe, in gratitude, in supplication. Rechem is the word for womb and gives us the term rachamim, which we tend to translate as mercy, but essentially means the protective love which a woman has for her unborn child. Af, nose, is usually used to describe God's anger, the expression being God's nose burnt. Regel, leg or foot, is then also a journey made on foot, and then the festivals that we mark by pilgrimage, And from that to the notion of a regular occurrence, a habit or a routine. And yad can mean support and can connote power. This week's Torah portion mentions nearly all of these, either literally or metaphorically. It also mentions heart, face, neck, eyes, foreskin, finger, belly. But there's also another part of the body hiding in the name of the parasha, and that's the word Ekev. Now, Akev is the heel of the foot. It's in the name Yaakov, Jacob, born supposedly grasping the heel of his twin brother. And in our parasha, the word Ekev comes twice, bookending passages about reward and punishment, and it means as a consequence. Ekev tishma'un. If you listen, good things will happen. Ekev lo tishma'un. If you don't, the consequences will be bad. With my heel, I leave a footprint, a trace of myself, evidence that I have been here, an imprint, a result. We may sometimes think that true matters of the spirit are on a different plane from the mundane business of our bodies. Yet our liturgy has always included the phrase Kol atzmotai tomarna, translated in our Siddur as all my bones, but really all my parts shall praise God. Learning to name our body parts starts when we are very young. But for me, learning these new words is just as important. And one of the messages of this week's parasha is that our body parts and our body-related language are fundamental to ethical behavior and to our religious concepts. And so not just head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but also eyes and ears and mouth and nose, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Shabbat Shalom.
Yeshikach. We are not going to sing head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but we are going to turn together to page 310 to sing together the words of the Elenu, and we invite you to rise with us. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gdula liyotzeh bereshit, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'nahata lanu et torato, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim imahal, u'shchinatu zo, b'govhei meromim, u'Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes ulato, HaKatuv b'Torato, V'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim b'shamayim imahal, v'al haaretz mitachat eino. And on page 313. Al kain nekavelecha Adonai Eloheinu, lirot mehera b'tiferet uzecha, la'avig lulim min haaretz, v'halilim karot shekreitun, l'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, v'chol b'nei v'asa yikru v'shmecha, la'avnot eilecha korishei aretz, yakiru v'yedu kol yoshvei tevel, ki shutafim kulanu b'tikun olamecha, ki ha'malchut shelcha hi, lo me'ad timloch b'chavod, Kachatu b'toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'nehema
Ushamo, Ushamo, Ushamo Echad.
Our mourning can be global. It can be a thing in which we recognize the challenges of the world around us. And on this Shabbat, we mourn with the city of Beirut after its tragic accident in its port. Our mourning can be historical. It can look back at events in our past and recognize the loss and the tragedy therein. And on this Shabbat, we sit between two 75th anniversaries, that of the bombing of Hiroshima and that of the bombing of Nagasaki. And we mourn not only for those who died, but for the innocence of a world without nuclear weapons. Our mourning can be communal. It can be for the changing of epochs. And on this Shabbat, we mourn the death of Kitty Freund, our oldest member at the age of 107, and recognize the change in a generation and in a community with her loss. And our mourning can be national. We mourn also, along with all Jews the world over, Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, the great Talmud scholar. Our mourning is also personal, as we stand together with those in our community who come to this Shabbat in mourning. And so we join with Ruth Tamir in mourning the death of her aunt, Suzanne Perlman. And we stand too with all of those in the Shloshim and the Shana, the period since the loss of a loved one. And we stand with those who mourn on the anniversary of the deaths of Beatrice Andrews, Annie Baker, Sheila Benowitz, Anne Blackman, Jonathan Brand, Sylvia Brudney, Mike Castle, Tessa Cohen, Ronald Cole, Joel Cookson, Edith Cooper, Anna Kraft Stanley, Ilana Davids, Odette Dreyfus, Anita Ettinger, Linda Fisher, Leonard Gatti, Andre Gellert, Rachel Gold, Werner Goldstaub, Lynn Hammerschlag, Hetty Kaufman, Jean Kay, Samuel Kay, Alfred Caton, Karen Keeve, Eric Kerner, Madeline Leon, Ethel Levi, Ronald Lewis, Inga Angras Lowenheim, Maurice Marks, Lillian Papier, Raphael Pichon, Motti Rader, Oliver Reynolds, Lily Stanley, Jeanette Stone, Barnett Summers, and Evelyn Zackheim. Whatever the nature of our mourning, whomever we miss, we wish you the words, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem, B'toch Sha'ah Ha'avelin. May the ever-present God be a source of comfort to you, together with all those who mourn. And we invite all those who come to this Shabbat in mourning to lead their community in the Mourners Kaddish on page 316, and for the community to respond with the words in bold. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam al'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitada v'yitalei v'yitalal Shemei Kudsha B'richu. La'ela min kol bechata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Diamiran ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. V'yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol ha'olam v'imru Amen.
Amen.
So 6 weeks this evening will be Erev Rosh Hashanah, which is a fact to send a shiver down the spine of everyone working in this building, or currently not working in this building, in fact. So we are in the journey towards Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we know that this year's High Holidays will be unlike any others. So what we know, I think, is that in order to really make these High Holidays work for ourselves, we're going to have to put our souls and our hearts really, truly into them, and also work very hard to prepare for them as well. So on the weekly email that was sent out this week, you will have seen that there are various programs that we're going to be running over the next few weeks, and in particular after the 21st of August, the beginning of Elul, in which we're going to reflect together and think together about some of the profound challenges of this year's High Holy Days, but also how we can best encounter this experience of praying online together. We know that the loss of being together is a huge one for many of us. And so alongside that journey to the High Holy Days, which will be online in those core services, we are also creating as many opportunities to pray together in person for those who are able as possible. So I'm very excited that I'm going to be praying with real people rather than people on a screen. You are real people, all of you. I know that. But praying with actual people in the flesh tomorrow morning for the first time in almost 6 months. That service is full, but there are spaces on the early start services in the Sukkah on the 15th and 22nd of August. And then throughout Elul, we're going to be running services also on Mondays and Thursdays. We're going to be running Shacharit services in the Sukkah as well. Our wonderful new colleague, Elliot, is happy to run services at 7:30 on a Monday morning for those who need to go to work. So Elliot will be running those ones. And it's also a great opportunity to get to know our new clergy in the flesh as well. So please, if you feel able, do join with those. If you do not feel able, we recognise that for many of us, we are going to remain an online community, and our 6:30 and 10:30 services will be privileged as an online-only service whilst we are still in this difficult, extraordinary period that we're in. We invite you to help yourself to Kiddush if you have it at home. And before we make Kiddush together, we're just going to sing those final words from the Kaddish that we read together. We're just going to sing the words of Oseh Shalom one more time.
Oseh Shalom B'Roma, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Teman, Ve'imru,
Please do join with me wherever you are at home.
Vayachulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am, vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi'i, malachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i, מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי יבוא שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים הבנו וחטא ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Chaim.
Chaim.
And as always, for those who wish, we're just going to unmute you so you have the opportunity to wish each other Shabbat Shalom, and from Tamara and for me, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, Simone.
Right, shalom, everyone.
Again.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
See you tomorrow morning.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, Adam. Shabbat shalom, Golda.
Shabbat shalom, Kellen.
Shabbat shalom.
Hello, Karen.
Hi.
Shabbat shalom. And I wish you good memories, Mr. Geller.
What's happening with your leg? Your
It's
leg.
okay.
We are worried.
Long life.
Shabbat shalom.